3, level 3. We're gonna put it over there. I'm running out of colors. Let's do green. Green's a good level 3 color. Level 3 we call. This is not its formal name, so don't overthink this. We call it the White Blood Cell Patrol. There's formal names, but we're gonna say this one. White blood cells could come in and start eating stuff. So you're supposed to know the white blood cells from last 2 weeks lab and what they do and how they relate. So we're gonna learn some white blood cell terminology and make a list of the white blood cells and what they're for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, never let monkey eat bananas. What was the end? Neutrophil. Good. Let. Delward, lymphocyte. Monkey was monocyte. Eat, eosinophil. Bananas, basophil. There's our 5 white blood cells that patrol my body in the blood to catch things that broke through. You're supposed to know what each one would attack. They're all similar in their jobs. They all have specialities. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little animation just so I don't have to say it over and over. We're supposed to learn what each one is going to be doing on its patrol. What is its purpose? Okay. So you have to memorize the white blood cells and figure out what they're doing. So depending what cell this is, we determine what it's going to do. Okay. All right, give me a second. Let's do, where is it? Go up. On. Push down. There's no sound.
A B cell differentiates to form plasma cells, which secrete antibodies, and memory cells, which provide immunity to future.
I don't see a word I know on this side, but if you look in the bold print, I see something. What do you see right there? I see lymphocyte. So this is not a cell for today, that's actually for specific. So we're going to put for lymphocyte B and T cells. That's next week. So for this week, you do not have to know what B's and T's do. You're just going to wave at it and say goodbye. That's next week's information. So we're just going to list it there, but you don't have to know anything about a lymphocyte for today. Right? The other ones, though, will be on here. So let's just play along and see.
By a familiar pathogen. T helper cells assist both the cellular and humoral immune systems by secreting cytokines. Cytotoxic T cells recognize and kill virus-infected cells and other altered self cells. Natural killer cells attack and lyse virus-infected or cancerous cells of the body.
Natural killers.
Monocytes circulate in the blood.
Okay, so here's one of our M's. Here's the monocyte. If you're reading the bold, you'll say, well, Mr. Good, I don't see non-specific there. Like, you're lying to me. Yeah, I am. So on Dr. Google, you'll find different words mean the same thing. So innate. If you're innately smart or innately talented, what does that mean? You're born with it, you didn't do anything, it's kind of general. So innate is a synonym for non-specific. It just means you got that, it doesn't matter, you're born with it. Adaptive is a word for specific. So on Dr. Google, you'll find people use innate and adaptive. I'm going to say non-specific, specific. They're just synonyms for what you're trying to imply. So this one's using a different terminology. Doesn't change the answer. So they say monocytes circulate in the blood. Let's back up a bit.
And circulate in the bloodstream, migrate into other tissues, and differentiate into macrophages.
There we go.
Macrophages are located in a variety of the body's tissues. They are phagocytic cells that engulf and digest microorganisms. They also...
Okay, what does macrophage literally mean?
To eat.
Phagocytosis is eating. Macro means
Big.
big eater. All right. So they eat pathogens. Which ones? Doesn't much matter. Like Oscar the Grouch, they just want to eat, right? Or Cookie Monster, they just want to eat. So they will eat pretty much anything they run into. It doesn't really matter what. But they, as they patrol, they'll eat stuff. So macrophage is just a big phagocytic cell. Not too
cells by
specific.
releasing cytokines. Dendritic cells are located in a variety of the body's tissues. They're potent antigen-presenting cells that present antigens to T cells. Neutrophils respond rapidly to inflammation, moving from the blood into the inflamed tissue, where they phagocytize debris and pathogens.
Okay, so if you look here, he doesn't actually say much. You have to kind of go to micro, but I'm going to fill in the details. Neutrophils, antibody-coated pathogens means bacteria. So neutrophils primarily attack bacteria. So their job is more bacterial killing. That's their kind of thing. Right? That's what they're implying there. So macrophages eat darn near anything. Neutrophils will attack bacteria. That's their specialty. Let's keep going.
Antibody-coated pathogens. Eosinophils migrate from the blood to other tissues and kill antibody-coated parasites.
What do they kill? Parasites. Eosinophil. We're going to say attack parasites. Right? Tapeworm, those kind of things. A critter, something that's an actual animal. Parasites. Eosinophils deal with parasites. Neutrophils deal with bacteria. Macrophages eat everybody. Now we got the B word in this context.
Along with mast cells, basophils release histamine.
What do they release? Oh, that sounds important. Basophils release histamine. There's that H word again. Okay, let's see what happens.
The major role in inflammation and in allergic response.
Ooh, histamine. So we would say basophil's job is to increase inflammation. That's what histamine I just taught you. And it says another word there. Their job is to increase an A word. Their job is to induce allergy, which we'll learn in 2 weeks. For they just write the word and wave at it. In 2 weeks we'll learn why that is true. But once I break through my skin, and I'm breaking through, if I'm a bacteria, you're going to get eaten. If I'm a parasite, but these things would be in my blood, eating whatever happens to make it that far. That's their goal. So if you get a CDC at the hospital, they look at which ones you have, and they can predict what you're getting attacked with. Because if I'm getting attacked by bacteria, I need neutrophils. Those are the ones that should be active. Make sense? It's level 3. So skin, inflammation, control. So we're good? Okay, what's level 4? If these don't kill it, what's next?
Antibiotics?
Oh, that'll be artificial level, yes. Your body, that'll be when you run out of levels. Level 4, DEFCON 4, level 4. Well, DEFCON's going backwards, I think. Okay. Level 4 is the lymph system. Okay, we're going to spend about an hour on lymph and what lymph is and why. So prepare your body and soul. You have to learn this word very well. What is lymph? In this context, lymph is a fluid. It's a liquid. Mr. Cruzet doesn't know. I know it doesn't know. Let me help you out with that. I'm going to show you a picture. This is not anatomically correct. Don't overthink this. It's philosophically correct. Down here, there's a bunch of arrows, and you have to spot why these arrows exist and how they're meant to teach you something. Let's start with the one you're supposed to know. This red and blue stuff, take a guess what that is. That's blood, right? Red and blue means blood. Okay, if you look right here, there's an arrow coming out of the red and just kind of going off in Neverland. What do they call that arrow there? They call that a fluid because it's leaking out of my blood. Where's it going? It's going into the cells. These represent cells. So there's fluid in my blood. There's fluid coming out of my blood into my cells. So far, so good. Look at this arrow and tell me where it's going, or this one or this one. Where are they going? Those green things. So they're leaving the cells and going into these tubes. What do we call those tubes? An L word. So lymph is a fluid draining from the tissues. If you're entering that green stuff up there and leaving your tissues, we call you lymph. It's the fluid leaving my body. Make sense? Now what we have to do is figure out where the fluid came from. So we're going to rewrite some stuff. Fluid in the blood vessels. What do you call fluid that's in the red and blue stuff? Plasma. So the red and blue part, we would call plasma. That's where the red, that's the liquid in my vessels, is plasma, or plasma fluid. But that arrow says some of it comes out. So we're going to take plasma and have some of it leave my blood and enter my tissues. So fluid in my tissues. Remember, tissues are cells. So leaving my vessels and going around my cells changes the name. Okay. There are two choices here. You're allowed either one. You could call this tissue fluid. That's what the picture up there calls it. That's a perfectly legit word. Fluid of my tissues is tissue fluid. Perfectly legit. In the Dark Ages, when I was a lad, there was another word they used. They called it interstitial fluid. Those are the same. Pick one, I don't care. Those are exactly the same place. Between the cells. But the plasma leaves my blood,